Alrighty, what is up everyone, and welcome back to Love, Money, Rock and Roll. In the previous video, we wrapped up Himitsu's route. It was nice, I enjoyed it. She's a sweetheart, or is she? We're gonna find out. Starting today, we're going down Catherine's route. I need answers. I'm going to get my answers, one way or another. So here we are at the first pro-Catherine choice. I know so because I've skipped through this one many times with hints on, so I know what the wrong answer is, and I've been picking it all these times. But the right answer is to run after Catherine. We want Catherine. This time around, I won't be so pissed to hear the name Catherine, because you know what? I want to hear what Catherine has to say. I want to hear what Catherine's about. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into it, shall we? And let's run after Catherine. The hell was I still doing here? Sorry, I have to go. I said quickly, jumped up and rushed for the exit. Hallway, stairs, steps flying by. Lockers. Change my shoes. No time. Bumped into someone. He'll live. Schoolyard. Gate. Outside. Cars. People. I looked right. No one. I looked left. Catherine was standing next to the school fence, looking sidelong at me with indifference. It took me a few moments to catch my breath. There was absolutely no need to rush, she said coldly. Don't be so surprised. I knew you'd run after me. Oh, man, you must feel like a total fucking idiot the last two times I didn't. What else was I supposed to do? That wasn't at all how I wanted to begin the conversation. You dash off. After all these years. It's only been a year and a half. I guess. But still, you could have said something. A simple hello, at least. Let's clear something up right away. If you think that I've come back because of you, you're mistaken. Why then? That's none of your business. Catherine frowned. If that's the case, why'd you choose this school? Why not? I started here before, and it's a prestigious school. I was forced to acknowledge the logic in her words. On the other hand, Tokyo had far more than one decent private school. Either way, she was sneering at me. I was starting to lose my temper. You could have at least said a word or two. You're acting like there was never anything between us. There wasn't. Ooh, ouch, she replied, unruffled. I felt completely deflated. Catherine always been this cold and cruel, and I just never noticed? Had she been toying with me and my feelings, then tossed me aside, like an out-of-style blouse she'd gotten bored of? Katya, don't be like that. Don't call me Katya. She never did like it when I called her that, although she had never given a reason. It certainly had nothing to do with the U.S.-Soviet relations. Alright, Miss Catherine, would you be so kind to explain as what's going on? She frowned more deeply. Catherine-san? Maybe this wasn't the best time to try to be witty. Catherine suddenly turned around and was about to leave. Without thinking, I grabbed her arm. Wait! Let go or I'm going to scream. I just want to talk. Do you really think I'm going to believe this garbage? I don't care if you believe it or not. Then who are you waiting for here? What if I hadn't come running? There's no chance of that happening. Oh, really? She answered more calmly and stopped trying to pull away. I let go of her arm. I know you. Ha, so you do know me after all, because earlier you were saying there was nothing between us. It's all in the past. I'm here now because I had to come back. My mother got sent to Japan again. I get it. All I want is to talk, to understand. What, am I supposed to justify myself to you? Maybe you are. To be honest, this wasn't the first time we'd argue like this. Maybe before I just hadn't thought much of the fact, accepting it as par for the course. Youngsters' quarrels are soon mended, huh? Only later, after Catherine had left me, had I started to reflect and to analyze. What if she saw things differently? What if every one of our fights had caused her real stress and anguish? But even if that was the case, there was no excuse for acting the way she was now. If you're through with me, then at least be consistent. How do you know I haven't started a new life here? Maybe I never expect to see you again. And now you show up. You don't want to talk, yet you'll always be around. That's an interesting state of affairs, like a rope around my neck. I know how it's going to be. I'll have to constantly endure silent glares from you, even if they don't mean anything. Catherine was going to say something, but I continued. Then I'll start to feel guilty from your silent shaming. You said yourself you know me, so you have to understand. And after all this, you're going to insist that there's nothing's going on, and that you don't need to explain anything to me? You can think whatever you want. Okay, I see. So we're going to feign ignorance now, are we? Oh wait, did you say ignorance or innocence? I think I misread that at the end. Innocence, yeah. That's what I thought. Like right at the end, it kind of... How long I had been yelling, I wondered. Passing students glanced at me warily. Girls whispered among each other, while the guys looked on in disbelief. After everything, are you really going to tell me there was nothing between us, is nothing now, and never will be? The last part was clearly too much. I blurted out everything that had been weighing down on my chest. Was I really hoping that we could get back together? I don't even care if y'all get back together. I need answers as to Himitsu. I need to know, have I been loving on a fucking psychopath? See, I thought Kagome was the hidden psychopath, right? Because, you know, with Everlasting Summer, they had their hidden psychopath, right? And I figured because that one was the quiet girl, I figured that, oh, Kagome was going to be. And even after the kidnapping incident, I kept trying to pin it on her, but then after the route resolved itself, I was like, you know what? No, Kagome's not a psychopath. But now, depending on what Catherine ends up telling me, or someone along this route ends up telling me, Himitsu might be the hidden secret path? Fucking goddamn. The hidden psychopath. And if so, that's insane. But I need to know. I must have been. There's no point in lying to myself. But it was one thing to hold out hope when Catherine was in another country thousands of miles away, and quite another when she was standing in front of me and treating me like I was a public enemy. She put on a barely perceptible smile, but I could see the contempt in her eyes. I just think I deserve an explanation. There's no point in explaining anything to you, Catherine remarked in parting. Whatever. This isn't over yet. We're in the same class now. The girl told her friend not to look my way as the two walked past. To hell with it. I hissed under my breath on my way home. Think she's so special. I've seen better. I was angry at Catherine. Really angry. We'd quarreled before, but this time she treated me like dirt. If there was ever a good time to purge her from my heart, wasn't it now? A bunch of boisterous middle schoolers ran past me. One of the boys caught me lightly with his shoulder and said, "Sorry, Oni-san." As in dude, man, uncle, gramps. Did I really look that old? Although, the way I'd been reasoning just now, I wondered how long I'd be able to hold a grudge against Catherine. Would I forget again, revert to an idealized image that clearly did not match the girl I'd just been arguing with at the school gates? Only after getting home was I able to calm down a bit. I spent the rest of the day trying futilely not to think about Catherine. If I continued like this, I was going to lose my mind. Every 5 minutes the phone rang. I didn't pick up because I knew it was Kosuke. Who else would be calling me? When it came to that crazy otaku, I was lucky he wasn't pounding on my door. In the end, I unplugged the phone. Jesus. I tried to keep myself distracted with TV and video games, but they got boring quickly. I even did some homework for a change. Played the bass for a bit, nice. And fixed myself a simple dinner. Needless to say, I would rather have eaten Himitsu's cooking. But she must have been busy. Or she must have been really pissed that you ran after Catherine. Not that Himitsu was under any obligation to make meals for me on a daily basis, but I was used to it. Thinking about it, I realized that my habits had become an integral part of my life to the point where they'd started to take center stage in it. Catherine's reappearance was threatening to throw everything off balance. It was like I'd grown senile and flabby in the past year and a half, to the point where I craved stability above all. But why did I need chaos in my life if nothing good was going to come out of it anyway? Suddenly the doorbell rang. It was probably Himitsu, but at this hour? I slowly made my way towards the door, but halfway a thought struck me. Why would Himitsu need to use the bell? Then it had to be Kyosuke, although it was definitely late for him. The evening routine for my well-fed friend was anime followed by bed, but whatever. But there's nobody at the door at all, and this is where I find the note, right? I think so. Yeah, okay, this is the note. Alright, so we'll start skipping until we find something new. Alrighty, so we're back at what seems to be the next Catherine-centric choice. It is kind of as I expected that Himitsu and Catherine kind of share a route, essentially. Once you get to the prompt that's either, it's like go home with Himitsu or look for answers, that's where your routes, that's where the big split is between Himitsu Catherine and Kagome Ellie. So we're seeing a lot of similar stuff because this is also technically Himitsu's route as well. But I think this seems to be the first Catherine-centric choice that I could make. Obviously, to go home with Himitsu is the answer that would get me to Himitsu, clearly. Let's say we check Catherine's old apartment because God knows I want nothing to do with her mother. Still, no matter how I looked at it, it was better to start at the beginning. Catherine had been living in that apartment with her mother for a long time. Why wouldn't they go back there? You know, I've got some things to do today. And another stupid, thoughtless lie. Well, no, not really. I just promised to meet with a friend. A stupid, slightly thoughtful lie. Himitsu looked at me like she was about to say I have no friends. Alright. Of course, she wouldn't say something like that, and I knew it. It was a fail-free excuse, just barely good enough to pass. I just had to make sure not to use it too often. Want to come by later today? I've got a lot of homework. Himitsu dropped in response, trying to sound uninterested. Maybe it would work with someone else, not with me. Well, alright. Till tomorrow, then. Till tomorrow. She didn't even smile. I felt guilty over Himitsu, but tried as hard as I could to distract myself from these thoughts. The Winters family's old apartment was located in the very center of Tokyo. I was always attracted by the local rhythm of life, all the neon lights at night, the abundance of various offices and shops. It contrasted nicely with the district where Himitsu and I lived. Hundreds of thousands of yen for a square meter, millions of yen flowing through the accounts of big companies with offices on the top floors of gigantic skyscrapers, a couple thousand yen in my pocket. It was like comparing a poor fisherman from Hokkaido with a powerful shogun from Honshu. But I wasn't jealous of the wealth of others and didn't strive to get rich myself. I just wanted to see the world and show it what I was capable of. In some sense, I was even glad I didn't have to chase after money 24 hours a day, forgetting to sleep and rest. Although that wasn't because of any high morals, which I didn't have, but probably because I didn't need much to be satisfied, just the bare minimum. I never wondered if I'd be happier having an apartment in a penthouse, a yacht, or a personal airplane. Given the choice, I would most likely ask a djinn or for something spiritual, not mountains of gold and toilets of platinum. Seized by these thoughts, I didn't even notice when I reached Catherine's old place. Of course, her apartment was occupied by other people, something I should have expected. After all, it belonged to the embassy and was given to other workers, while Catherine and her mother were offered housing somewhere else. Well, at least I tried. I was aimlessly wandering through the city, ogling the luxurious storefronts and their exorbitant prices. Maybe earlier I'd exaggerated a little bit about the platinum toilets. Given some extra cash, I definitely would have bought some of the things on sale there. For the last half an hour, it seemed like someone was tracing my steps. Not properly following me, the attempts at the pursuer felt too amateurish. Finally got tired of it and dove into an alleyway and hid myself. And there he was, the evildoer. Grabbed him by the hand, dragged him out of the crowd, and found in front of myself a cute, surprised face, 2 red braids, and pouting lips. And how long exactly have you been following me? Since you left school, she answered resentfully. Why? What would you do at my place? You said you were going to meet a friend, and instead... Instead what? Himitsu bit her lip in frustration, but managed to get a hold of herself and say, Didn't Caddy-chan used to live here before? Well, let's say she did. And you said, is she there now too? No. I gave a short answer, and not letting Himitsu get a single word in, continued. Let's go home. Nico couldn't wait. It would probably have been easier to take the subway, but for some reason I wanted to go for a walk. Himitsu was dragging herself along, everything about her implying I'd better explain myself. I gladly would, if I only knew what to say. As it stood, however, I just wanted to pay her back, in a sense, by spending time together. Even simply wandering the streets. You shouldn't go looking for schemes where there are none, I said, stopping at a big storefront. What do you mean? I just wanted to talk, to find out why she returned, why she transferred to our school again. I have the right, don't I? Mm-hmm. Himitsu quietly mumbled in response and lowered her eyes. It doesn't really mean anything. You shouldn't follow me. Everything will be alright. Although I knew perfectly well that Himitsu was following me for different reasons entirely. Could have also said, don't be jealous. Maybe I should have done something like that. Just to calm her down. Not to lie, no. Just to leave the hardest part for later, for when I would finally sort out my relationship with Catherine. But deep inside, I knew it would probably never happen. Sort out a relationship, you have to start with yourself. I don't believe you, she suddenly said with resolve. It'll end up like a year and a half ago again. You'll suffer. Himitsu, wait. Don't you understand that's how it'll always be with her? She's incapable of loving anyone but herself. She just likes to hurt others. Calm down. You just can't understand. How can you stand someone treating you like that? It's not even love anymore. It's masochism. Himitsu, enough already. If I were in her place... Tokyo's central business district was noisy, but hysteric in the middle of the street was too much even for this place. People looked at us in alarm, and even I started to feel uncomfortable. Let's talk about this at home. I don't want to. I won't. Talking is useless. What for? For you to nod your head again, and then in the end, do what you want and hurt me? The expression on her face shifted to one of deep resentment. Her lips trembled. The first, most bitter tears started swelling at the corners of her eyes.
I can't keep going like this. If not for her, if only it wasn't for her, it would all be like before. Why did she simply take what she has no right to? I hate it. I hate it.
That moment I forgot all about Catherine. I had to calm her down. It wasn't even about Katya. Poor Himitsu just didn't deserve to be treated like this. From the bottom of my soul was rising a burning sense of duty. Irremunerable. Irremunerable. The fuck does that mean? Duty to Himitsu that I wouldn't be able to pay off no matter how much I tried. I hugged her and pressed her to my chest. I felt her in my hands, the fragile girl, the only human being who really cared about me. The sobs became quieter, and eventually, Himitsu's breath grew even. Let's go home. She gave a slight nod and took me by the hand. It wasn't the time for yet more excuses or trying to sort things out. Being with her was good enough. No. No, as a matter of fact, it isn't good enough. As a matter of fact, it is not good enough. As a matter of fact, it is not good enough. Nay, I say nay. What happens if we try to find Mama Winters? That felt too Himitsu-centric, and I don't like it. I don't like being Himitsu-centric. They gave me a third choice, we're gonna go for third choice. I even thought the embassy's apartment would be left empty for Catherine's mother. The USA's diplomatic mission surely had other employees as well. But Miss Winters herself was a relatively public person, so finding her wouldn't be particularly difficult. Let's go. But it would still be best to call from home. Okay, so he does walk home with Himitsu. Himitsu looked joyful, perhaps even happy. Okay. Well, let's skip ahead for now. She smiles in response. Come on, what is it? It's a wonderful day today. Tried to remember if it was wonderful in the morning. It's already fall. It's warm like summer. Snow in the winter, wouldn't I expect development? But we'll be able to build a snowman. Yeah, except the one we're making. Yeah, that's great. I don't care about conversation with Himitsu right now. Shocking events. I was just thinking, what was it, 10 years ago? Yeah, something like that. She looked at me intently. Stopped grinning like an old man. Grabbed Himitsu by the cheeks, pulled him to the sides, made a funny grimace out of her face. Now you're grunting like an old woman. Haha, so funny. Reached the house, I stopped and said, I've got a lot of homework, so are you suddenly hitting the books? Ooh. She opened her eyes and looked just like a young investigator from the Vice Squad. If I keep things going like this, I'll get expelled even from the graduating class. Look, she didn't believe me, or at least pretended to. No, really.
Fine, fine.
Himitsu laughed.
Coast daddy, lazy bones.
Of course, I wouldn't actually care in the slightest, even if I were expelled. Just didn't want to tell her I was going to look for Catherine's mother. The yellow pages of my father's telephone book were evenly filled with firm, sprawling handwriting. Only the very end featured my crooked squiggles, sometimes vertically, sometimes horizontally, at times in Russian, Japanese, or even English. Kyosuke's number, Michael's, the bank, social services. I once heard that the circle of close contacts for a normal person isn't more than 100 friends or acquaintances. Well, in that sense, the world was truly small for me. There was also the number of Catherine's old apartment. I decided to call it just in case. She no longer lived there, which was to be expected. I called the information center and learned the number of the American embassy. However, they refused to give me any info about Catherine Winters. For safety reasons, perhaps? That was weird. She wasn't a spy or anything. Yeah, no, of course not. Kept turning the pages. There was also a number of an acquaintance of father's from the Japanese MFA. He said they did not possess the contact information for Catherine's mother. And we called to several more places, but none brought any results. That seemed to be too strange. How long had it been since they arrived in the country? A week or so? That wasn't even enough of a length of time to accommodate yourself properly and talk to everyone she'd need to. It wouldn't be enough. For me. Business people did everything much quicker, and communication was the most important part of a diplomat's work. I flipped through the telephone book once again, looking for familiar surnames. Ichinose. Dad, he knew Catherine's mother. Why would he? Drove away the thoughts about the calls in the note. There was nothing odd about the current situation. Another hour or so of calling every possible number brought exactly 0 results. The evening was drawing near. I grew hungry and tired, and tiredly dragged myself to the kitchen. I had neither the desire nor the strength to cook. I just sat heavily down on a chair and stared out the window, hoping somewhere deep inside for a miracle to happen. The miracle didn't make me wait very long. Keys crunched joyfully in the hallway, and a second later Himitsu came in.
Nikake,
She looked at me in surprise and even froze for a moment.
I thought you were studying.
I just finished. And forestalling her distrust, I added, I'm lazy, not dumb.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to have dinner?
You bet. Himitsu headed to the refrigerator but suddenly stopped as if thinking something and looked around. Something wrong? Took her a bit to answer.
No, nothing. Everything's fine. What do you want me to make?
If it was anyone else in her place, I may have believed everything was indeed fine. Something wrong with the kitchen? I looked around, but didn't notice anything suspicious. Maybe there was some other reason. Whatever you want. Or was it just my imagination? Okay, interesting. I'm gonna save again. I don't know which one's the right one now. Because now this one's feeling a bit too Himitsu-centric. And I'm trying to avoid Himitsu. That's the point. This one, she seemed to be the most depressed. So we're going with this one. Your tell him it was our evening, you probably need to get some sleep. Himitsu responded without even looking at me and slowly headed for her home. Well, night brings counsel. Perhaps things would calm down by tomorrow. Although I know perfectly well that these sort of hysterics were uncharacteristic of Himitsu and would probably have consequences. That's fine. I had most probably lived through worse days, but today was, on top of it all, also completely meaningless. I didn't manage to find Catherine, but did manage to get into a fight with Himitsu. Good. That's the road we need to be on right now. How typical of me. If an idea gets into my head, I press forward with manic stubbornness, paying no attention to consequences or collateral damage. In the manga Kyosuke likes so much, heroes would rarely choose the path of least resistance. Contemptible is what some of them would say. Cowardliness is what others would add. But I'd say that everyone decides for themselves if the means justify the ends. Let's say I were to get Catherine to explain herself. Wouldn't that completely upset my relationship with Himitsu? Good. There was still the matter of the calls and the note. Was I really in danger? In any case, at that moment, my head was filled with something completely different. If nothing changes with Catherine and Himitsu never forgives me, then please do kill me, is what I thought. But if I were to give up now, would that really be the end of it? I tried to put myself in Himitsu's place. That didn't seem plausible. How would it look from her point of view? Without finding anything out, he just forgets about Catherine and keeps living as if nothing happened. Although it seemed to me that Himitsu would be quite alright with this scenario. Well, perhaps she would now. We're not 7 years old anymore. Something like this might fly once more, twice maybe, then she'd just go away, cry it out, and leave everything behind as just another childhood memory. I barely believed my own logic, but driven by a surge of fear, kept piling up every remotely plausible theory. I felt ashamed about Himitsu, but at the same time, couldn't keep Catherine out of my head. Although after the events of the past day, I wasn't sure about my feelings towards her either. At least not completely. I was just tired. With some sleep, these feelings would fade away. Only to come back tomorrow? No, I couldn't keep going like this. I needed to find her and let her go, or... At that moment, I didn't want to think any further. Maybe I was afraid, but what the hell did it matter? The last car drove down the street, its tires creaking quietly, and my district sank into pre-dawn silence. Yeah, that seems like the least happiest route for Himitsu. That's... Oh, excuse me. That needs to be the road we're going down here. Okay, and I believe we're skipping things again, right? Yes, we are. Okay, so until there's new things.